Good morning, students. I welcome you once again to the physics class for 10th. Now you recall that we have been doing machines chapter, which is the third chapter in the book. Okay, so in machines we have already studied the different types of machines. What are the different parameters on which we can compare any two given machines? What are the different ways in which the machines are used? Okay, specifically under machines we have been discussing levers of late, the class 1, class 2 and class 3 levers with examples. We did a number of numericals also. So now we are going to move to the last topic in machines, which is pulleys. Okay, now pulleys also come just like levers, they also come under the broader category of machines, but they have their own look, their own construction and their own usage. Okay, so this is one diagram that I want you to have a look at. This is a diagram of a pulley which is hooked to this fixed support. Okay, now what I'm trying to define over here is what exactly is a pulley and how does it look. Okay, so pulleys, if you see, it comprises of a grooved rim. This is a circular grooved rim that I have mentioned over here. Grooved in the sense that it has a small trough, okay, a shallow trough, sort of a dip all around this area, because there has to be a rope or a tackle that has to go around it. Okay, and it has to be pulled from one side. Okay, so if you imagine, you must have if you have been to a village and particularly near a well, okay, then you will see that you may have to draw out water from the well. Suppose this is a well and you are to draw water out of a well. Okay, so in that particular case, this pulley will be useful for drawing out the water from the well easily. Okay, so now if you see over here, this is how the load will look. Okay, if you remember the technical definition of the load and the effort, load is something that you have to pull up or pick up or move. Okay, so this part is basically what you will call as the load, whereas on this side, if a person stands over here and tries to pull it, provide some effort, so this is your effort side. Okay, so that's your effort side. Obviously there will be some tension developing. All these things we will study a little later into this particular lecture. For the time being, you only understand that there is a load which has to be pulled up. It is attached to one end of the rope, which is in fact going around the particular pulley through the grooved rim. Okay, so that grooved rim, if you imagine this particular part to be very very smooth, then it is very likely that the rope will slip off from the rim. Okay, so therefore it has to be grooved. It has to have a small shallow trough kind of thing. Okay, so this rope is going through that grooved rim. This side the person pulls and so the load moves up. Okay, and what is the purpose? What will be the pulley doing over here? The pulley will constantly keep on getting rotated while this rope is being pulled from the other end. Okay, so this is the general idea of what a pulley is. You can see that there are spokes also, just like you have in the wheel, and then you have a riveted portion right over here. There will be a bolt which will hold it. Okay, and then this is attached to a hook over here. The hook obviously comes out of a fixed support. Okay, so these parts are generally metallic. Now coming to where all you will possibly see the usage of pulleys, you will see them in the construction works, particularly the scaffoldings, tall high-rise buildings when they are under construction. Then you obviously see it getting used in case of wells, drawing out water and all, and then mines, etc. Okay, so these are some of the very common uses that you will see. Now pulley, under pulley, what specifically we have to study is first a single fixed pulley, then a single movable pulley, and then there will be a combination of a number of pulleys in different orders. Okay, sometimes there will be one fixed pulley, one you see fixed pulley, then you will have one fixed, one movable, then you may have one fixed, two movable, three movables, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this combination of pulleys has a number of other details This we will go into later. First let us understand what is a single fixed pulley and what is a single movable pulley and how do we compare them. Okay, so as the name suggests, single fixed pulley. So the pulley itself will be fixed. The pulley will not be moving up or down. It will only rotate about its fixed particular axis or a fixed particular point that you have. Okay, so now if you have a look, once again, this is that fixed support that you have. Okay, there is a hook and then there's this metallic portion which is riveted over here, and this is the pulley that we have. Now this rope or the tackle, the technical word to be used for this rope is the tackle, as I have already written over here. So this is a tackle that is running around the pulley. Okay, one side you will provide the effort, the other side you have to pull up the load. Okay, so let us consider the two parameters that we have. The first one, obviously, whenever we study any particular machine, we always study its MA, we always study its VR, okay, velocity ratio. So mechanical advantage has a formula, load upon effort. Now what is load and what is effort? This load, if you can see over here, because this load has some weight, it is pulling the rope downwards, okay, and that same rope from the other end also is being pulled. So these are opposite directions of pull, which will result in a tension being developing in the tackle. Okay, now please remember, T, capital T will stand for tension. The direction of tension will always be opposite to the load. So if the load is trying to pull the entire rope down, the tension will be acting upwards. Okay, similarly, effort acting downwards, tension acting upwards. The other thing that you have to remember here is, this is a single tackle that is running right from one end to the other end. Single tackle, single rope. Okay, so as long as the rope or the tackle is single, you will always have same T's or same tensions acting across all the parts of the tackle. Okay, so as long as the tackle is the same, the tensions will be same in the sense T and T. Okay, not T1 T2. Now you have a look at this formula, L upon E. Now what is this L going to be equal to? Suppose L is acting downwards, it is being equated or it is being opposed by this particular tension, or in other words you can say that this tension is nothing but a creation of this particular load. So what we can do is, in place of L we can simply write T, because this L and T, they are opposite forces and they are equal. Okay, now similarly over here, this is the effort side, so effort also is equal to single T. As you can see over here, T and T, they get cancelled, so you get a mechanical advantage value of 1. Now what does this mechanical advantage 1 mean? So we see that mechanical advantage is equal to load upon effort, and its value has come out to be 1. So E goes that side, cross multiply, L becomes equal to E. Now this is some very important aspect that we have arrived at. L is equal to E. Now what is load? Let us take an example. Suppose we have to pull a 50 kgf load. Okay, suppose we have to pull a 50 kgf load. What is the effort that we will have to apply? So going by what we have derived, the effort will also have to be 50 kgf. Okay, effort also will have to be 50 kgf. So now talking in terms of the convenience, do you really think that this pulley is making our work easy, or it is allowing us to multiply our effort? No, in fact not. If you see, the same amount of effort is being applied to lift the same load. So actually it is not helping us in reducing our effort. Okay, so then what is the advantage, the real advantage of this particular machine? If it is actually not making our effort lesser, or if it is actually not reducing our effort, then what is the real use of this particular pulley, a single fixed pulley? What is the real advantage? So the real advantage over here is, I'll write it down over here. If you can see, the real advantage that we have in case of a single fixed pulley, it will be convenient direction of pull. Convenient direction of effort. Convenient direction of effort. Now how do you determine that? Effort over here is downwards. Okay, so if you remember, I had already told you it is always easy to pull something downwards rather than pull it upwards. Why? Because when you are pulling it downwards, suppose the person is standing over here trying to pull it downwards, he can always use his body weight, he can push his foot on the ground, push his leg on the ground, and in fact take it as a support to pull or to provide the effort. Okay, so this is a convenient direction of effort, and that is the advantage of this single fixed pulley. Okay, now let us move to the single movable pulley. Okay, before we go into the velocity ratio aspect of it, let us discuss the same criteria for a single movable pulley also. Okay, so over here, if I write the mechanical advantage formula as load upon effort, before substituting, let us now first understand why are we calling this pulley as a single movable pulley. Because if you see, the actual construction of these two pulleys varies slightly. If you see, this pulley is actually hanging on this tackle. Okay, it is hanging or resting on this particular tackle, whereas here that tackle was resting on the pulley. So the pulley was fixed to this rigid support. The pulley would not move. If somebody pulls from this side, the rope will actually, go around. So the rope will be pulled up onto this side, but the position of this particular pulley will not change. Whereas here, if you have a look, the moment somebody pulls from here, now here obviously the first thing that you notice is the effort will be provided in the upward direction. Okay, and if you see over here, this hook actually is not in contact directly like it was here with the metallic part. In fact, this hook first has the tackle going down, and then on that tackle is the pulley resting. Okay, now this pulley is attached with another piece of a hook to the load. So load is going to act in the downward direction. Once again, load acts downward, so the tension will be acting in an opposite direction. Once again, I have labeled T and T because if you realize, this is the same tackle, single tackle, so same tackle, same tensions on both sides. Okay, so this is how, if a person pulls or provides an effort over here onto this side in an upward direction, this load will move up along with the pulley. Why will it move along with the pulley? Why will the pulley also move up? Because the pulley itself is resting on the tackle. The moment tackle moves up, the entire thing has to move up. Okay, so mechanical advantage is equal to L upon E. Now this time, if you notice carefully, this L is actually being supported by both these T's. Okay, so this time you are going to have T plus T, 2T in the numerator in place of L, because this L is now balanced by the two tensions. Okay, unlike in this particular case, this load was only supported by one tension. Okay, so over here, and obviously the E side is the same as the single tension, so T and T gets cancelled. You get the mechanical advantage value, which is L upon E as 2. Again, we cross multiply just like we had cross multiplied here. So L is equal to 2E. We can say this, or we can also say that effort is L by 2. Okay, effort is L by 2. Now consider the same load which is being pulled up, which was being pulled up in the first case. Okay, suppose the load is 50 kg that you have to pull. Okay, so you put the value of L over here, so you see effort is equal to 50, which is load, divided by 2 according to the formula. So this comes out to be 25 kgf. Okay, so if you notice, the effort has come out to be 25 kgf, which is actually half of the load. So what is the big advantage that you have over here in a single movable pulley? The biggest advantage that you have over here in case of a single movable pulley. Now this is not the combination of pulleys. I'll just erase this particular part. The combination, it's not the combination that we are studying. We are studying the single movable pulley. So what is the big advantage that you see over here? That the effort is reduced. Okay, our effort gets reduced. To pull up the same amount of load, our effort has become halved. Okay, in fact, you can write reduced, or you can also write halved of the load. So if you have to really pull up 100 newtons of load, you don't have to apply 100 newtons as the effort. You can only apply 50 newtons. So that is a big advantage over here. Okay, now can you think of a disadvantage also in this particular case? Yes, the disadvantage over here is exactly what you were thinking. The effort is being provided in an upward direction. You are pulling the load in an upward direction, which is always difficult. Okay, if you compare this part with the single fixed pulley, what was an advantage over here becomes a disadvantage over here. Here the advantage was the convenient direction of effort, which was in the downward direction. Here it is the opposite. So we can write the disadvantage that we have over here is inconvenient direction. Okay, so we will study inconvenient direction of effort. Okay, because that is the upward direction. Okay, which is always difficult. Okay, so we have discussed, till now we have understood that there are different roles that single fixed pulley and single movable pulleys play. Single movable pulley actually reduces our effort, makes our work easier, but then in what way? It reduces the effort to half. Okay, as you can see, it has reduced the effort to half, but then what was the disadvantage that came in? The disadvantage was the effort had to be applied in the upward direction. Similarly, now coming back to the single fixed pulley, the advantage was convenient direction of effort. What was the disadvantage? Can you think of the disadvantage also over here? Yes, the disadvantage was, what was an advantage over here? Effort was reduced over here. Here, did the effort reduce? No, the effort and the load had to be same. So, effort is not reduced. Okay, or you can also say that same effort has to be applied. Same effort as load has to be applied. Okay, same effort has to be applied. Okay, now I'll give you just half a minute to go through this. Okay, so as you can see now, the entire thing has been listed down. The advantage, one advantage in this case, one disadvantage in this case, and similarly one advantage and one disadvantage in the single movable pulley. Okay, so here is a combination of one fixed pulley and one movable pulley that we have individually discussed. So now we are going to discuss the combination of these two pulleys and also the reason why we are combining them. Okay, so if you remember the single fixed pulley, now this is the diagram of the combination that I have drawn. Okay, kindly note over here that this pulley, the pulley marked with an F, is the fixed pulley. Obviously, as you can see, it is attached with this metallic portion and the hook to the rigid support. Okay, whereas the second pulley, which is this pulley, has been marked with a capital letter M, which denotes that this is the movable pulley. As you can see, this is the pulley that is resting on the tackle. Okay, so the moment somebody pulls from this end, this entire tackle is going to be moved up. The load is to be raised up. So along with the load, the pulley will also move up because it is resting on the tackle. Okay, so this is the combination that we have. Now let us, before going ahead, let us recall that in case of single fixed pulley also and in case of single movable pulley also, there was at least one disadvantage present in both the cases, either cases. Okay, so the reason why we are combining both of them together is to get rid of those disadvantages. Okay, so that we only have directional advantage as well as the advantage of reduction of the effort. Okay, so let us first analyze the MA, which is the mechanical advantage of this particular system, which is the combination of the fixed pulley and a movable pulley. Now, one thing that you notice is missing in this diagram, or is rather incomplete in this diagram. Can you guess what that is? Yes, it is the marking of the tensions in the tackle. If you can see, this is a single tackle that has gone around. It has started from here and it is going around this pulley and then around that pulley, and in the hands of the puller or the person who is providing the effort. Okay, so since the load is going to act downwards, we are going to have the tension in the upward direction, all with the capital letter T, because it is once again remember, it is the only tackle that is present, the only rope or the single rope. So as long as the tackle is same, the tension will also be the same. Okay, so now if you see, MA is equal to L upon E. Now what is L? L, as you can see, is supported directly on these two tensions. Okay, this load, obviously assuming that there is negligible weight of this pulley, this load is actually being held by these two tensions directly. So I can write, in place of L, I can write 2T, whereas if you see onto the effort side can be written as a single T. Okay, so which results in T and T getting cancelled, and you have a mechanical advantage value of 2. Okay, now that means L upon E is 2. That means when you cross multiply, you will have L is equal to 2E, or you can have E is equal to L by 2. If you remember, in case of a single movable pulley also, we had discussed the same thing. Okay, E, which is the effort, is half that of the load. So once again, what that means is, if we take the load of a load of 50 kgf here in this particular setup, how much is the effort that we will have to apply? We will only have to apply an effort of 25 kgf. Okay, so basically there is an advantage here, which is that our effort is halved or reduced, okay, to half. Okay, so basically, why is this an advantage? Because for lifting twice the amount of load, we are actually using half of that particular load as the effort. So for lifting 50 kgf, we will only require an effort of 25 kgf. That makes your work easy. Okay, similarly, had this been let's say, for example, let us talk about the SI units now. Had this been 50 newtons, had the load been 50 newtons, how much would be the effort applied? It would be 25 newtons. Okay, so that is a clear advantage. Now, where is this advantage coming from? If you remember, this is a combination of two pulleys, movable pulley and a fixed pulley. This advantage is coming because of the movable pulley, if you remember when we had discussed. Now, what is the other advantage that we have? Is there any other advantage that you see? Yes, the effort is being provided in the downward direction, which is always easier. Okay, so you can write the second advantage is convenient direction of pull. Okay, convenient direction of pull, or you can say effort. Okay, so that is the second advantage that we have. Okay, first advantage has come from the single movable pulley. The second advantage has come because of the fixed pulley. Okay, so if you see, what this combination has resulted in is the combination of both advantages coming from one each coming from this as well as this. Okay, so we have both advantages over here. Now you can't see any real disadvantage in this. Okay, similarly, now when we move on to the discussion of the velocity ratio, the formula once again is dE by dL, and here once again you will have to analyze it according to the movement. Now suppose that the load moves up on the, when somebody pulls from this side, suppose the load moves up by let's say 1 centimeter. Okay, suppose the load has moved up by 1 centimeter. So what I am going to do is, I am going to call this as dL, because dL is nothing but the movement on the load arm or the load side. So this load moves up by 1 centimeter. That will only be possible when this pulley moves up by 1 centimeter. So because this is directly attached to the metallic portion and the hook of the pulley, okay. So if the load moves up by 1 centimeter, that will be possible only when this pulley moves up by 1 centimeter. So when this pulley moves up by 1 centimeter, it is very logical for you to visualize that this particular side of the tackle and this particular side of the tackle both will have 1 centimeter of release. Okay, so if this pulley goes up by 1 centimeter, you will have 1 centimeter free here, 1 centimeter free here of the tackle, which will overall result in the movement of 2 centimeter of the tackle onto the effort side. Please visualize. Once again, I am trying to explain. If load moves up by 1 centimeter, this pulley will also move up by 1 centimeter. But since the pulley is resting on this particular tackle, if it moves up by 1 centimeter, you will have 1 centimeter and 1 centimeter, making it 2 centimeter of overall tackle getting released. Okay, so where will that released tackle go? Obviously, because of the load, this tackle cannot become slack or loose. It will be tight. Okay, so whatever 1 plus 1, 2 centimeter has got released, that will get carried forward to the effort side. So this effort side will move down by 2 centimeters. Okay, so this is your DE, that is coming out to be 2 centimeters. Similarly, if you want to generalize, if load moves up by x centimeter, the effort will move down by 2x centimeters. Okay, so basically if you put the values over here, you will have 2 by 1, which comes out to be 2. So the velocity ratio value has also come out to be 2, and the mechanical advantage also is 2. Again, this is, if you want to calculate the efficiency, you will have MA upon VR. Okay, so that will give you 2 by 2, and that will give you a value of 1 or 100%. Once again, this is the ideal case scenario that we are discussing. No machine can have practically an efficiency of 100%. This is an ideal case scenario. In all practical case scenarios, what will happen is the efficiency value will become less than 1, and it can only become less than 1 when MA becomes less than VR. So VR will remain 2, MA in all practical cases will go below 2. Okay, so this is the real advantage that we have discussed in terms of the combination of one fixed and one movable pulley. Now there are more important things coming up in the next couple of lectures. We will require at least 2 lectures more on the pulleys, okay, to study the different combinations that we have, the block and tackle system and all those things. Okay, but kindly go through what we have discussed in this particular lecture of pulleys, especially the fixed one, the movable one individually, and then their combination. Okay, you have been asked a number of questions year on year based on this particular aspect of the pulleys. Okay, thank you.